Hello, and welcome to this presentation, Getting Started with the LMG600 Actions menu. In this presentation, we'll provide a short explanation of how to configure and use the Actions functions of LMG600 series precision power analyzers. Zero adjustment, transient measurements, and logging are some of the functions that can be started using the Actions menu. We'll briefly touch on these functions in this presentation, but please see the separate presentations on each of these topics if you'd like more detailed information about how to configure and use these features. The Actions hard key is used to define an action that's performed on user command. This provides a convenient way of manually executing common functions or tasks. Once an action has been configured, it can be immediately executed in one of three ways. The first is by pressing the Execute hard key. This key will be illuminated when an action has been configured. Another method is by pressing on the rotary wheel. Actions can also be executed by pressing the Execute Now button within the Actions GUI. There are 6 actions available from the Actions menu. Snapshot is used to save a screenshot image, and in some cases, numeric data as well. Log is used to start and stop logging, that is, recording of numeric data to a file. The Event Trigger is used to start a so-called transient capture for short-duration events. Reset Inrush resets the maximum measured Inrush current value. Zero Adjust runs a special type of calibration called Zero Adjustment, and Go to Local returns to local mode from remote mode. The action map to the Execute key is shown at the top of the screen. In the remainder of this presentation, we'll explain each of these actions in more detail, as well as how to configure them. There are user configurable settings that are common to all action types. The Action key is used to cycle through all the available actions. Execute Now runs the selected action immediately. The default action is None, so mapping is performed by using the Map to Execute key. As mentioned earlier, if an action is mapped, the Execute key on the front panel will be illuminated. To remove a mapping, use Remove Mapping. In addition, some types of actions have additional setting parameters, and these are configured by pressing the Settings key. We'll discuss these action-specific settings along with each action type. The first action we'll look at is Log, which starts and stops recording of measurement values, such as voltage, current, power, etc., to a file. In order to log data, a log file must first be created, and this is done by pressing the Storage hard key and then going to the Log tab. An error message will be displayed if no log file has been configured. The only configurable parameter under log settings is duration. This can be configured so that pressing the Execute button either logs a single cycle of measurement data or starts/stops a continuous set of measurements. Note too that while a log is being written, the front panel storage key will flash. In the interest of time, we won't cover log configuration in detail here, so please see the separate presentation, Getting Started with the LMG600 Logging, for in-depth and step-by-step instruction on how to configure and use logging. The Snapshot action can be used to save 2 types of files. One of these is a picture or image of the current screen. The other is a ZLR record file. Checkboxes are used to specify which file types to save. A ZLR file will contain numeric values from the currently displayed measurement screen. For example, values of voltage, current, etc. from a measurement results screen, or the waveform points from screens which display information graphically, such as the scope or transient displays. Like other types of log files, these can be converted to .csv or .mat format. Again, please see the separate presentation on logging for more details. And finally, note that CSV values and/or images can be copied to the clipboard of a PC when operating the LMG600 remotely. The Event Trigger menu allows a transient recording to be manually triggered, as opposed to the more common method of triggering based on waveform properties or on an external electrical signal. Transient recordings require that this recording or log file be created and started in advance. This is done from the Log tab in the Storage menu. The only configurable parameter for this action is rearm after execution, which is used to set whether the transient capture is rearmed after being manually triggered. Please see the separate presentation on transient measurements for detailed step-by-step instructions on how to configure transient measurements. The Zero Adjust action provides a simplified interface for configuring and manually running a zero adjustment. There are two different modes. In instrument mode, an adjustment is performed on the entire instrument, and this adjustment is persistent over power cycles. Alternatively, a custom mode allows more flexibility in terms of which groups are adjusted, the types of adjustment, etc. But these adjustments are not persistent. Note that for both types of adjustment, the action menu shows a short description of the adjustment type and actions that have to be taken before the adjustment. More information about zero adjustment can be found in the separate presentation on this topic. The last two actions, Reset Inrush and Go to Local, do not have any configurable settings. Reset Inrush simply resets the Inrush current measurement, which is shown as iInrush in the current view. And Go to Local is used to switch the operation of the LMG600 from remote mode to local mode when necessary. Let's end with a brief summary. The Actions menu on LMG600 series power analyzers allows for convenient manual execution of several common tasks and functions. These are taking a snapshot of graphical or numeric data, starting or stopping logging, triggering a transient capture, resetting the Inrush current measurement, performing a zero adjustment, or switching to local mode. Many of these actions have user configurable settings, some of which are defined within the Actions menu, and some of which are defined within the relevant function menu, for example, configuring values to be logged. Note that separate detailed presentations exist for these functions. The user-selected action can be executed by pressing the Execute Hard key on the LMG front panel, or by using the rotary wheel or the soft key within the Actions GUI. This concludes our presentation, getting started with the LMG600 Actions menu. If you'd like to learn more about power analysis or power analyzers from Rohde and Schwarz, please see the links in the video description. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit us at rohde-schwarz.com.